Welcome, Big Train fans, to the second part of our annual Big Train baseball and holiday auction. It's been a busy fall at Povich Field. On a chilly Saturday afternoon 3 weeks ago, a hearty band of about 60 Big Train fans gathered at the Davis Family Picnic Pavilion for the in-person part of our annual holiday event. Just a week before, on a gorgeous Saturday morning, a standing room only crowd of more than 100 attended the dedication of our new Shirley and Walter sculpture. And the next day, 3 members of the Big Train family, Luke Atkins, Becky Crowley, and Hunter Renfro, were inducted into the Cal Ripken Collegiate Baseball League Hall of Fame. Before I introduce Tim Kurkjian, I want to let you know how important this annual event is to the success of Big Train baseball. The funds we raise at this annual event help provide a solid financial foundation for our 2022 season and our community service initiatives. So thanks to all our sponsors and to our donors. If you've not yet contributed, please consider making a contribution by clicking on the donate button at www.bigtrain.org. Another way you can support Big Train baseball is by participating in our online auction that you can find at our website. So thanks to all of those who donated items and to all who bid. In our first auction, held in conjunction with the November 13th in-person event, we raised $7,500. The current auction closes Tuesday, December 7th. So please take a look. We have some fabulous items, including we have a Brooks Robinson signed bat, a Bradley Beal signed basketball, lunch and golf at Congressional Country Club for 2, a pregame dinner with the team for 4 of you prior to a 2022 Big Train game. We have 4 lower level tickets to a Caps game. One of the highlights of the 2021 season was the opportunity to host Team Israel as they prepared for the Olympics in Japan. We have 2 used Team Israel jerseys in this auction. Plus, we have a team signed ball that includes autographs of former MLB players Ian Kinsler, Danny Valencia, Ty Kelly, and Ryan Lavarnway. Avoid the global supply chain crunch by doing your holiday shopping while supporting Big Train baseball. So we're here tonight with our favorite baseball commentator and Bethesda native son, ESPN's Tim Kurkjian, a living, breathing baseball encyclopedia and a great friend of Big Train baseball. Welcome, Tim. For many years, you've been kind enough to join us as our featured speaker at the Big Train baseball and holiday auction. Last fall, you did the inaugural COVID version, virtual version of our holiday event, and you're here again. We're so grateful to have you join us. We're especially proud that starting in 2020, you've been kind enough to lend your name to the summer interns who broadcast our games, write our game stories, produce our social media, and photograph the small town charm and big league talent that is Big Train baseball at Shirley Povich Field. What a thrill for these young up-and-coming journalists to be able to list on their resumes that they were Tim Kurkjian Sports Journalism Fellows. Your talks to our players have been one of the highlights of our season each summer. So we are so grateful to you for all your support of Big Train baseball. I do want to let our fans know that to express our appreciation, we will be placing a permanent plaque near the entrance to our press box to honor you. So Tim, you've been so generous with your time. Please share with our audience what motivates your willingness to give back and be so generous, especially to Big Train baseball.
Well, first off, Bruce, I love baseball. So anything that is being done to help the game, you can count me in. And I've told you countless times, I spent like my entire childhood at Shirley Povich Field, which was Cabin John Regional Park. If I wasn't playing there, I was watching games there or umpiring games there. So it's like a second home to me. As we know, I went to Walter Johnson High School. I knew Shirley Povich very well. So this is all right in my wheelhouse here. But when I can help anybody who's young, up and coming, and most important, wants to write, if I find anyone who wants to write, you can count me in helping anyone, because we've gotten so far away from writers in our country, from kids who want to write, and broadcasters too. If we can find somebody who wants to do that for a living, that's all I ever wanted to do after I left Walter Johnson and realized I'm not playing after this. How can I stay in it? So anytime I can help a young kid in any way further his career or start his career, you can count me in on that too.
Well, Tim, thank you. Our interns and our players so appreciate and love the time that you spend with them each year. So 2021 was certainly a step back towards some semblance of normality after the absolutely crazy COVID season of 2020. How are you doing? Tell us about how your work life changed and how it evolved over the 2021 season.
Well, 2020 and 2021 were difficult years. I did some games, a bunch of games from home. I broadcast games, Bruce, where the play-by-play guy was 350 miles away.
Right.
The other analyst, Eduardo Perez, was 1,000 miles away, and the game was 3,000 miles away. And I'm trying to broadcast all of this from a television set, not the same television that you're watching. It was not easy to do. So after doing a lot of games just like that in 2020, I decided I can't do that anymore. I have to go to the studio. So I went to Bristol, Connecticut and sat, 6 feet away from Carl Ravitch, our play-by-play guy. And therefore I had an interaction, a human interaction with somebody that I was actually speaking to instead of being 350 miles away. So that made it a lot easier. And then by the end of the year, I actually covered some games from actual ballparks. And I can't even begin to tell you how great that was, because that's all I've ever done. My whole life is go to the ballpark. In the last couple of years, I haven't even been allowed to go to the ballpark like most people. But now, hopefully, we're going in the right direction. And I repeat, there is no substitute for being at the ballpark. And I did the Brewers Braves series on the radio, and there I am in the ballpark. And I thought, this is the way life has to be moving forward. I just hope I'm right about that.
And when you're sitting in a studio in Connecticut, you're not able to have the interaction that you would typically have with the players and the coaches.
Right. I mean, Bruce, what I do for a living is I go in the clubhouse before the game and talk to as many players as I can. And then I'm at the batting cage, just sidling up next to guys, whispering to them, talking to them. That's where your best stuff comes from. So it makes my job so much harder. I mean, I had to get on the phone. I had to many more phone calls. I did Zoom chats like this one, but you're not going to get your best stuff from a guy on a Zoom chat. Trust me, you're going to get far better stuff when you're standing right next to him, looking him right in the eyes. And that's what I got a chance to do a little bit at the end of the year. And that's why I can't wait for normalcy to return so I can return and do the job that I do. And that's go to the ballpark, see and talk to as many people as I can.
Absolutely. So what are your most significant takeaways from the 2021 Major League Baseball regular season? Who really impressed you, who hadn't previously been high on your radar, and what really surprised you?
Well, the Giants had an amazing season. I didn't even pick them to go to the playoffs at the beginning of the year. And one of a very reputable website predicted that they would win fewer games than the Diamondbacks this year. And the Giants ended up winning 107 games. The last time they won that many games in a season, Christy Mathewson was pitching for them. I mean, that's how good the Giants were this year. And they kind of came out of nowhere. That was my biggest takeaway from a team situation. How did we miss so badly on the Giants? I don't know anyone who thought coming out of spring training that they were a playoff team. And instead, they were one of the best teams the Giants have ever had. So that was one of the key takeaways. As far as other teams in the regular season, I mean, the Padres had the best record in baseball after 50 games. And then they finished under 500 at the end of the season. The last team to have the best record after 50 games and not make the playoffs was the 2012 Dodgers. It's really hard to be that good for 50 and then fall off the end of the earth. But this, Bruce, as you know, is the beauty of baseball. Something goes wrong, timing goes off, and suddenly you go from a really bad team, a really good team to a really bad team, and vice versa. So there were so many really good team stories. Dusty Baker, wins the division with the Astros. Tony La Russa comes back after over 10 years away and wins easily for the White Sox. The Red Sox get Alex Cora back and win the division. The Rays lost so many pitchers in the offseason and during the season and still won 100 games and won the toughest division in the American League. There were so many great team stories, and yet the best individual story was Shohei Ohtani, who won the MVP unanimously, as he should have. I mean, we've never seen anybody do what he did this year. I mean, he could throw a baseball 100 miles an hour. He could hit a baseball thrown at 100 miles an hour. And his exit velocity, a very important stat these days, was well over 100 miles an hour on a lot of his at-bats. This is why even Babe Ruth, who never got the chance to quite do this, even Babe Ruth never did what Shohei Ohtani did. He was a breathtaking story from day 1 to day 162, and I hope we see more of that next year.
So, Tim, tell us about the Giants-Dodgers competition in that NL West division title. I mean, it's pretty rough to win 106 games for the right to a play-in game.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like going back to the 5 teams in the playoffs per league really, really worked this year, because it made the Dodger-Giant race to the finish so important, because you don't want to play a 1-game wild card, which the Dodgers had to do because they finished behind the Giants. And if we were in the old system of, say, 20 years ago, or the system from 2020 when 8 playoff teams made it, it wouldn't have mattered who won the division. What the 5 playoff teams does is it adds the integrity to the regular season. If we're going to play 162 games, Bruce, it really has to matter. And this year it really mattered as the Giants and the Dodgers went to the final day of the season. That final day of the season, Bruce, there were 6 games that you couldn't take your eye off of. And I was in the studio that day, and we had 6 TVs up, and every game really, really mattered. So when we look at expanding the playoffs again, let's not forget the final day of last year, that we might have lost some, if not all of that drama, if we knew, well, all 6 of those teams are getting in anyway. This is not a big deal. It was a big deal that final Sunday, and I hope we have a few more Sundays like that to end the season.
That final Sunday must have been Tim Kurkjian in heaven, with all the different possibilities of who would be playing who'd be in, who'd be out.
Right. And they all started at the same time. Whoever came up with that brilliant idea, I need to pat them on the back, because that means when your 4:00 game starts, you don't know who won before you. So every game started at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And I just couldn't wait to get into the office that day and watch all those TVs, and then go on TV and discuss what we just seen.
Fantastic. So the highlights of our auctions back in the day was always your take on the World Series. So my question to you last November was simple. Why did they even bother to play? You said in September of 2020, Rays, Dodgers win. Not so this year. You picked the Astros in 7. So would you give us your take on the 2021 World Series? What surprised you? What was most meaningful to you? How will this World Series be remembered decades from now?
Well, it'll be remembered as a very good World Series. Look, I've covered 41 of them now, so I've seen better ones than this one, but this was really good for this reason alone. The Braves, Bruce, were under 500 for 126 days this year. They didn't get above 500 until August the 6th. There was a chance they weren't even going to make the playoffs after they lost Mike Soroka, their best pitcher, in April, Ronald Acuna Jr., their best player, in July. And then even when the World Series started, they lost Charlie Morton, who broke his leg when he got hit with a line drive. So the Braves, you looked at them and said, I'm not sure they're even going to win the East. And then they got into the playoffs, and they beat a 95-win Brewer team, who were supposed to beat them. Then they beat the Dodgers, who won 106 games. The Dodgers were supposed to beat them. And I think a lot of people had the Astros over the Braves. But this, Bruce, is why baseball is the best game, is the last team in the playoffs, the team with the fewest wins, 88, ended up winning the World Series. Think about basketball, which, as you know, I love basketball, but like when the Wizards used to be the last team to make it to the playoffs with a 41-41 record, and then they would open the first round of the playoffs against the Bulls in Chicago Stadium against Michael Jordan. They had zero chance to win. Zero. When the Washington football team last year made the playoffs with that 7-9 record, I'm sorry, they had zero chance to win the Super Bowl. But the Braves entered with the worst record of the 10 teams, and they won the World Series, and they deserved to win the World Series because they were the best team in October. And they were the best team because they acquired 4 outfielders at the trade deadline. They had the best record in baseball after the trade deadline, and then they played so well in Atlanta. I mean, in October. It was so much fun to watch a team come together like that and play together. It was because they weren't supposed to win, and they did, and they deserve all the credit in the world.
I want to ask you about the state of pitching. So the playoffs highlighted the significant changes in how pitchers are used. I get that nobody is ever going to touch Walter Johnson's 110 complete game shutouts, but there were 9 no-hitters in 2021, 2 of them with multiple pitchers. So what's the future of pitching? How much of the change we're talking about is a playoff thing?
Well, it's more than a playoff thing, unfortunately. It has become a regular season thing. The Rays pretty much brought this into focus a few years ago with the concept of the opener. And now a bunch of teams are using openers during the regular season. And now, and I worry about this, we're starting to use openers in the playoffs, even in the World Series. Look, I'm an old guy, Bruce. I'm almost as old as you are, okay?
Not that old.
And I grew up at a time where Bob Gibson took the ball and didn't come out of a World Series game until the Cardinals won or lost. I'm old enough to have watched Sandy Koufax pitch in the 65 World Series, not to mention 66. That's when there was real value to a starting pitcher. And there was still value to a starting pitcher when Jack Morris pitched 10-inning shutout in the 91 World Series. But we've gotten so far away from that it really worries me that we're telling our best starting pitchers, we only want you for 5 innings. And we're not even allowing them to be great anymore, Bruce. We're not pushing them after 80 pitches when they really want to stay in the game. And I understand, you have fresh relievers who are throwing 100 miles an hour coming out of the bullpen. But I think we need to get back to let's give additional value to our starting pitchers and let them earn the money that we're paying them, because that's the way the game is played best. Starter gives you 6, 7, 8, even 9 innings, and the bullpen gets a rest that day. But we're so far away from that, and it worries me a great deal.
That's what you want, but how's it going to get back?
It's not coming back anytime soon, Bruce. This rabbit hole we've gone down, we're not coming out of it anytime soon, because it's also a money saver for the teams. If you don't have if your best pitcher wins 14 games, and even though we don't value wins, they can say, hey, you won 14 games and you pitched 160 innings, which is what the team wanted you to do. They're not going to pay you for that. They're going to say, look, you're not going to make $30 million a year unless you pitch 230 innings. And the pitcher says, well, you won't even let me do that. So I don't think we're coming back anytime soon. I think the way, pitching staffs are constructed these days, they certainly make sense on some level. But this thought that we're going to have a 5-man rotation and everyone's going to make 33 starts and we're only going to start 6 pitchers all year. We start 26 pitchers for some teams, 26 during the course of a season, because we run out of pitchers because we use them all so often.
I'd like to get your take on 3 of the more significant characters in this year's baseball drama. I always understood Freddie Freeman was a great player, but I never paid a lot of attention to him. And then one day I was at a Braves-Orioles game in August, and my seats are really near first base. I was astonished by this guy. He's so cheerful. He talked to everybody. He patted Mancini on the butt after each single. So tell us just a bit about Freddie Freeman. I mean, how often do you run into a personality like his, and what do his opponents make of him?
Well, everybody loves Freddie Freeman, the media, his teammates, and the opponents, because A, he's a great player. I believe he'll be a Hall of Famer someday. But it's just what you said, Bruce. It's his attitude about the game. He's always got a smile on his face. He wants to beat you as much as anybody, but he's also willing to have a chuckle along the way, which I think is great. Remember, Anthony Rizzo struck a first baseman, struck Freddie Freeman out in a game this year. So a first baseman struck out a first baseman because Rizzo was pitching in a mop-up duel because there was no pitchers left. And Freddie Freeman thought it was like the funniest thing in the world that another first baseman struck him out. Others would have been furious, but Freddie realized we're up by 14 runs. It really doesn't matter at this point. And before the game against the Brewers in the playoffs, which I covered for radio, we were talking to Freddie before the game, and he was in a slump. And he just looked at Carl Ravitch and I, and he says, God, I stink. I am terrible. And then in the 8th inning of that game, he had a home run off of Josh Hader to win the game and get them to the next round. If all the players were like Freddie Freeman, it would be a much better game. Tony La Russa used to always tell me, when your best player is also your best guy, that's when you know you have it beat. And that's who Freddie Freeman is.
Wow. So I've always admired Buster Posey. What's your take on his career?
Well, I think he's a Hall of Famer. It's debatable because his career was cut short by injuries because he just said, I'm not willing to play in this kind of pain anymore. Plus, he's got family obligations, just adopted 2 babies born prematurely, and he's a great father, and he's going to stay home and help raising the kids, which I just love that he would do that. But if you look at his career, he won an MVP, he won a batting title, he won a Gold Glove, he's won a bunch of Silver Sluggers, and most important, he was the best player on 3 championship teams. Now, when you compare his numbers to other catchers in the Hall of Fame, they're not all going to stack up because the career numbers, like he didn't get 2,000 hits, he didn't hit 300 homers, but he was a great player. And I know he'll be a Hall of Famer someday. I'm not sure he's going to be a Hall of Famer the first year, but he doesn't care about that. He just wants to win. He just wants to do the right thing. And the right thing for him was to stop playing because of the pain and because he wanted to make sure the Giants had their best team out there. And he wondered moving forward if he could be the best player they need. And yet he's the only catcher ever to hit 300 in his final major league season. Just another Hall of Fame qualification for Buster Posey.
So will Dusty Baker ever manage a world champion?
Yes, I still think there's a chance. If he had won the World Series this year, he would have been a slam dunk, first ballot Hall of Famer as a manager. I still think he's a Hall of Famer. He won 1,987 games in his regular season career. He's taken 5 teams to a division title, 5 different franchises to a division title. And the way he resurrected that Astros team after the cheating scandal was just really, really impressive. So I don't think he needs to win the World Series to make it to the Hall of Fame, but he sure would like to win. But I worry now about the Astros a little bit. I think they're going to lose Carlos Correa, their best player, their shortstop. And without him, it's going to be difficult to win the World Series, especially getting out of a very difficult American League right now.
So you talked about the Astros. Looking ahead, how did the 2021 season and the playoffs set up the teams for 2022? Which team that nobody is talking about today do you think has the best chance to make the playoffs in 2022?
I think we need to keep our eye on the Angels because the Angels aren't very good right now. But given the specifications you gave me, I think they're the type of team, if they can find 3 starting pitchers. They've already gotten 1. They need 2 more. If they can find 2 more starting pitchers and a bullpen guy, and they get Mike Trout back healthy, and they get Anthony Rendon healthy, I think they're a team that I think they're the most capable team that didn't make the playoffs that could make the playoffs next year. I think we're all kind of wishing, we're not allowed to root for anything as writers here, but we're kind of rooting for Ohtani, Trout, those guys to play in the postseason, play in the World Series. Mike Trout's played 3 playoff games in his career. It's just not right. So maybe it's wishful thinking on my part. We need to see the best players playing in October. So let's keep an eye on the Angels, but granted, they have a lot of work to do.
So, what rules changes do you foresee? Will pitchers be batting in 2022?
I don't think so. I think we're all going to get to the point where we're going to recognize that the universal DH is the way to go. It keeps pitchers healthier because let's face it, they get hurt all the time. So let's not give them a chance to get hurt running the bases or trying to swing a bat. Personally, Bruce, I don't care what you do. I just want the same set of rules in each league. You can have the DH in both leagues. I'm okay with that. I would prefer to see the pitchers bat in both leagues. I just want the same set of rules. It's ridiculous to me that we have two sets of rules, but the DH is coming. I think it'll come next year. But Bruce, there are far, far bigger problems than what are we going to do with the DH? First, we have to get a collective bargaining agreement, and both sides are working on that now, and I'm a little discouraged about the progress of that.
Wow. So before we take a break, I'd like to ask a question that has considerable self-interest here. The reductions in minor league affiliated teams and leagues with the MLB setting up the summer college leagues in 2021 is obviously a potential threat to leagues like our Cal Ripken Collegiate Baseball League. So what are the MLB executives saying about how that experiment went in 2021, and what should we in summer college baseball be watching for to position ourselves in this new world?
Well, the new world is a very, very hazy world right now, Bruce. I think Major League Baseball overall is happy with the way things went, even though they cut out 42 teams. They now have control over minor league baseball, which they didn't have before, and more money is coming in for them because they are controlling it. Question is, are the minor league affiliates as happy as Major League Baseball is? And I think if you talk to them honestly, some of those people will tell you, we liked it better the other way, where we could run our own team. And what's also happened, and you've seen these stories, Bruce, a lot of these minor leaguers are not treated particularly well when it comes to housing and food and everything else. And that's really what the major league team, the parent club, is in charge of, is making sure that everyone in the minor league system is treated properly. And that simply has not been the case this year. So bottom line is we still have a lot of work to do to improve the minor league system. If you're going to make this drastic change, then you have to make everything better around it, because the trickle down affects every team, even the Cal Ripken team, because where are the players going to come from? Which leagues are they going to be in? Are the leagues working? These are all questions that still don't have significant answers after the 1-year change from last year.
Thank you, Tim. We're going to take a break and then we'll be right back.
Hey, Big Train fans. I'm Chris Rogers, the team's general manager. First off, I want to thank you for tuning in to our holiday auction special and supporting us throughout the off-season. Before we get back to the program and hear more from Tim Kurkjian, I want to let you know about a few holiday present ideas we've got in addition to all of the fantastic items in this week's online auction. After a great return to Povich Field and a 5th straight championship in 2021, I know how eager we all are to get back out to the ballpark for more Big Train baseball next summer. That's why I'm excited to announce that 2022 season tickets will go on sale in just 10 days on Wednesday, December 15th. This year, when you reserve season tickets, you get to lock in the exact seats that you want right away. So you'll want to jump on this opportunity as soon as ticket sales open. That way you can get the seats that you want. Remember, that's Wednesday, December 15th, just 10 days from now. You can learn more at the link below, bigtrain.org/tickets. For all the younger baseball enthusiasts out there, we just opened up our 2022 Big Train Summer Camp registration. As usual, we've got 6 fun weeks of baseball on tap, with excellent instruction from Big Train players and coaches, and the opportunity to play in live game action every day. Plus, we have advanced development camp and pitching camp for those who want a little more of a challenge. You can register now at bigtrain.org/summercamp, and if you use the code HOLIDAY21 when you check out, you'll get 10% off your entire registration. This is our biggest discount on summer camp for the entire year, so you'll want to jump on this great opportunity now before the deal runs out at the end of December. Finally, in addition to the auction, you'll want to check out our online team store for shirts, tank tops, hats, bumper stickers, and so much more. These are the perfect holiday gifts for the Big Train fans in your life. You can see the full selection of Big Train merchandise online at our team store at bigtrain.org/shop. Well, you've heard enough from me. Thank you again for tuning into our auction program and supporting Big Train Baseball all year round. Your support and dedication is what makes our community organization really so special. Now, I'll hand it back to Bruce and Tim as they bring on another special guest for the second half of tonight's show. Enjoy!
Thanks, Chris. Those 2022 Big Train ticket packs and certificates for the Big Train Summer Camp will be welcome holiday presents. So Big Train fans, we're back with our friend Tim Kurkjian, baseball's living encyclopedia from ESPN. I'm very pleased to say Niamh Rosenbaum, the Director of Baseball Development for the Baltimore Orioles, has joined us. I always tell folks that one of the great things about living in Montgomery County is that some of the very smartest and most talented people on virtually any subject you can think about live right here. So in Niamh and Tim, we have Whitman and Walter Johnson high school grads who've reached the pinnacles of the baseball world. So Niamh, congratulations on being inducted into the Greater Washington Jewish Sports Hall of Fame last month. It was a pleasure to be there to cheer you on, and our wonderful documentary filmmaker friend Aviva Kempner, who's a great supporter of Big Train baseball. So Niamh, did you get the Big Train games at Povich Field when you were a kid?
Yeah, definitely. It was a big activity for my friends and I over the summer. I even remember going back and working the scoreboard out in left center field. I played on Bethesda Chevy Chase Little League. My team was actually the Orioles, and that was one of the things that we would do as a team.
Great. Well, thanks, Niamh. Now to Tim, who's got some questions.
Yes, Niamh, welcome. Again, I went to Walter Johnson. You went to Whitman. We're arch rivals. Are you the only successful person ever to come out of Whitman, or have I got that wrong?
There are definitely a lot of successful people who come out of Whitman for sure. In the baseball world, I'm not so sure, but I do know a lot of baseball people who went to schools around the area, Sidwell, NCS. So yeah, there's a good bunch of us.
Right. So you are the Director of Baseball Development with the Orioles, which is a wildly impressive job. Explain your day-to-day activities, what your job entails.
Yes, this is a question I get a lot because Director of Baseball Development can mean a bunch of different things. So I have two main roles. One is being the conduit between our research and development department and all the other departments within baseball. So ever since the sabermetric revolution at Moneyball, obviously analytics has become a big part of baseball. So we have all these really smart people, with computer science degrees, statistics, physics, and they're turning out all this good research. And then my job is to make sure that their research is actually applied in the baseball decisions that we make. So in international scouting, amateur scouting, pro scouting, player development, and then everything with sports science and high performance these days. So I get to work with every single department to make sure that we're all on the same page. And part of that is creating good digital tools, so a good database and good websites for us to access statistics and all of the models that our analytics team is producing. So that's what I do a lot on a day-to-day basis. And then I also weigh in on all of our transactions. So in all three of those markets that I just mentioned. So today, for example, is actually the moved up tender deadline at 8 p.m. So we've got a little war room going on where we're looking at all the possible trades we might make that affect our 40-man roster. So we do a lot of that on a day-to-day basis as well.
Right. And Niamh, as a woman in baseball, even though there are more and more every day, seemingly, which is a great thing, what about the challenges you faced as a woman to get to where you are today in basically a man-dominated sport?
Yeah. So I think you'll get the same answer if you talk to a lot of the other women who have succeeded in baseball, namely Kimmy, Jean Afferman, and Raquel with the Red Sox, which is that, I put my head down and did the work. That's what anyone who wants to work in baseball has to do. You have to get your foot in the door, you have to make good connections, you have to work really hard, be the first one in, be the last one out. That's something I learned when I was an intern at the Red Sox. So I honestly can't tell you, any specific examples of when it was harder for me. being a woman, because I never thought about it that way. I just put my head down and I did the work, and I thought that my contributions would speak for themselves. Now, a couple caveats to that, which is that one, I work with a great group of men. So Mike Elias and Sig here at the Orioles, they don't care what gender you are. They just want the best, smartest people in the room. And so they've been big supporters of mine. And I do think that is important to have male allies per se for any woman working in a male-dominated industry. The other caveat I would say is that now that I'm a little bit older, quote unquote, I can kind of look back and appreciate some of the hurdles I had to get over being a woman. So for me specifically, I worked at international scouting for 5 years, and I was going down to the Dominican Republic and Colombia and Aruba and scouting. And I know that I got a lot of like weird looks from the scouts, kind of being like who is she? Why is she down here scouting these Dominican superstars with us? So I got a lot of weird looks at the beginning, but by the end of it, I was just one of the scouts. I knew everyone, they liked me. So you just have to roll with it.
Right. You mentioned Kim Ng. What kind of inspiration has she provided for you?
Yeah, she's amazing. Of course, I luckily had the chance to intern for her. It was the summer before my senior year of college. I interned at the commissioner's office when she was still an executive vice president or senior vice president. I can't remember which, of baseball operations there. And so I got to intern for her, and I stay in touch with her to this day. We always catch up at the winter meetings. I just saw her a couple of weeks ago at the GM meetings. She is such an inspiration because she is the epitome of just putting your head down and doing the work. She's an incredibly hard worker. And what always stands out to me about her is she's just totally level-headed and calm and cool and collected in any situation, which you really need if you're going to be a GM when you're making these big, important decisions on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Even your role and with your team, when the light goes on for a young player, it's just breathtaking to watch. What was it like watching Cedric Mullins this year?
Yeah, watching Cedric Mullins was so fun. I talked about him in some interviews that I did in 2020 in the shortened season, where I talked about how fun it was to watch his defense in center field. And that is true no matter what. And then this past year, obviously, he exploded at the plate. So it was super fun to watch from a front office. I know the fans loved it. If you go back and you look at his minor league stats, he actually was a good hitter in the minors. He was OPSing in the upper 700s for most of his minor league career, not striking out a ton. So we knew that he had it in him, and he knew that he had it in him as well. He's a hard worker. He definitely believed in himself. He came to spring training in 2021 and said he was going to scrap his right-handed swing and just go with the left-handed hitting swing. So he clearly was putting a lot of thought into it. And then everything connected, and it was just super fun to have an Oriole become a 30-30 player.
Right. Eve, last thing, the Orioles obviously are building with young players. Give us 2 or 3 young players that maybe we don't know quite as much about, who are on the way, that you and your staff look at and say, really like the look of this guy, or 2 or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So most people know Adley Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez, according to MLB.com, they're the best overall player in the game and the best pitcher in the game. So most of our fans know they're coming. After that, a lot of people know on the pitching side, they know that DL Hall, who's a left-hander who throws gas, and he's got great stuff. He was unfortunately injured for part of 2021. A lot of people know him. But beyond that, Kyle Bradish, I think, is a name to keep an eye on. We got him in a trade with the Angels in the Dylan Bundy trade. He's got some good stuff. He's got a great fastball. We think that he has a chance to sort of sneak up and be a good pitcher for us as well. And then on the hitting side, everyone knows Adley. Gunnar Henderson has gotten some top 100 prospect love, which is great. But beyond that, I'm really a big fan of Jordan Westberg. So we took him in the shortened 2020 draft. And I was a huge fan of him back then. He could just do everything. He could throw, he looked good defensively. He hit, there was some swing and miss, which was the concern, but there was also some power, and he's really come in to our system and is just one of the hardest workers. He's a leader in the cages. He speaks up, he mentors the younger kids. He went all the way from low A to double A in this past season, and he did pretty well in double A. So he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. We're playing him at shortstop. Some people think he's going to be a third baseman long term, but we're going to keep him at shortstop because some of our staff think that he's the best athlete that we have. So Bradish and Westberg are some who I would say to keep a name on. One other I can give you is Joey Ortiz. He also unfortunately was hurt for most of 2021, but he might be the best defensive shortstop that we have in our system. And at spring training, before he got hurt, he also had shown that he had made some swing improvements and gained some power during the quarantine year of 2020. So hopefully he comes back in 2022 and that power is still there, because power and defensive shortstop is a great combination.
Well, Eve, thanks so much. It was a pleasure talking to you today. It's always good to see someone from Montgomery County go and do so exceptionally well. Congratulations. And Bruce, back to you.
Hey, thank you, Tim and Eve, for being with us tonight and sharing your insights on the game we love. Enjoy the holidays. We hope to see each of you at a Big Train game at Povich Field next summer. Thank you both.
Happy holidays. Go Big Train.
Thank you. As I said to open this show, we had a busy fall at Povich Field. Our November 6th dedication and unveiling of the Shirley and Walter sculpture by Toby Mendez attracted 16 members of the Shirley Povich's family, grandchildren and great-grandchildren of Walter Johnson, officials from Montgomery Parks, County Executive Elrich, County Council members Albernaz and Friedson, State Senator Kagan, representatives of the companies that built the new sitting wall and plaza, as well as 7 of the original founders of the Bethesda Community Baseball Club. It was a glorious day. We began by presenting replicas of plaques that will grace the Povich Clubhouse, honoring our friends Tim Kurkjian and George Solomon. Tim has graciously allowed us to call our communications interns the Tim Kurkjian Sports Journalism Fellows, and we have named our press box after George Solomon, Shirley Povich's colleague, editor, and friend. The highlight, of course, was the unveiling of the sculpture, so let's watch. Okay, Toby, you're in charge. Tell them what to do. We've been waiting for this. There they are. Let's leave a little time for some photos here. That's what we wanted to hear. He looks like him.
I hope so.
Hank worked for 3 hours up in that studio. After the unveiling, Walter Johnson's grandson and biographer Hank Thomas spoke first, followed by Shirley Povich's son, Maury Povich.
Well, it's just, it's an enormous thrill to be here today representing the Walter Johnson family. There have been many honors over the years for my grandfather, for being a great pitcher, also being a great human being. And this is one of the many reasons this beautiful work of art is so appropriate, is that I can say the same about Shirley Povich, who I was lucky to get to know a little bit. If I start cracking up here, just give me a second. But this, because I've been involved over the years, and also because it's just such a wonderful community resource, the Bethesda Big Train and Shirley Povich Field mean more to me than just about any of those. I wasn't at Cooperstown in 1939, so that would probably top the list if I had been.
But more than anything else, when I take a look at these two here, and when it comes to family, I think my father, other than sitting in perpetuity next to his family, he would say to anyone, if I'm going to sit next to anyone for the rest of my life and for eternity, it would be Walter Johnson. And I'll tell you why. It's very simple. And it's in the foreword to Hank's book about his grandfather. It wasn't necessarily what Walter did on the field, although my father, along with Tim, would say he was the greatest pitcher of all time. He said he loved Walter Johnson because it was the manner of his manhood, the fact that he was the most honest, the most humble, and the most humane of any athlete he had ever been around. And that's why he was so marvelously attached to Walter, both on the field and off the field. And the two of them right here, the fact that that's going to be here long after we're gone, I mean, it strikes a great chord in my heart and my family's heart. I'll tell you how modest my father thought of Walter. He took him to Griffith Stadium to watch this phenom young pitcher named Bob Feller, what everyone was talking about as the fastest pitcher in the history of baseball. And so my father took Walter to the park, probably in 1936, and said, "Walter, take a look at this young man." And Walter's watching him pitch. And Dad says, "Is he faster than you?" And Walter hesitated for a long time. You know, he could have probably said, oh no, let me tell you how fast I pitched and all that. But Walter just hesitated for a long time and said, after Dad asked, "Is he faster than you?" And Walter said, "No." That was it. So, I mean, this is a marvelous day for the family. You could not possibly give more of a tribute to my father than not only this sculpture, but this field. And what he would love the most about Shirley Povich Field would be that in June, in July, when these young people came here to play in this marvelous league, this very competitive league, they used wooden bats. That's what my father would love more than anything else. Thank you all very much.
If you go to the Big Train website at www.bigtrain.org and click on bigtrain.tv, you'll be able to see the full 45-minute dedication ceremony. The next day, 3 members of the Big Train family, Luke Atkins, Becky Crowley, and Hunter Renfro, were inducted into the Cal Ripken Collegiate Baseball Hall of Fame. Hunter Renfro, now an outfielder with the Boston Red Sox, Becky Crowley, a longtime Big Train host mom who personifies the finest values of summer college baseball, and Luke Atkins, a 3-year all-league performer for the Big Train, now the head coach at Starkville High School in Mississippi. Congratulations to our 3 new Hall of Famers. A week later, on November 13th, sculptor Toby Mendez was our featured guest at the in-person part of our annual baseball and holiday auction. It's such an honor for us to have these fabulous sculptures at our ballpark, done by the man who turned the heroes of Birdland into bronze at Camden Yards, sculpted teammates at Fenway Park, and memorialized Thurgood Marshall in Annapolis. Toby was a joy to work with. Here's an excerpt from his talk at the dedication.
You know, Bruce mentioned that I'm known for civil rights sculptures, Thurgood Marshall, Maggie Lena Walker, Thomas Kennedy, and also for my sports art, my work with the Orioles and the Red Sox. And I think of those two worlds they are so separate conversations, but this work of art brings them together. And you know, you think about your heroes. You know, I'm known for doing the sculpture of Nolan Ryan, and Nolan Ryan is often compared to Walter Johnson. And you know, Shirley Povich, years ago I did a monument to Walter Sondheim, who is known in Baltimore for desegregating the public schools when Brown versus the Board of Education was handed down. And I said to him that a hero, according to Thurgood Marshall, is someone, when they have a voice, they use it. And Shirley prodded and provoked Major League Baseball to desegregate. And he prodded and provoked what were the Washington Redskins to do the right thing and integrate. And so he's my hero, so thank you.
One of the things I enjoy the most about our annual baseball and holiday auction is the presentation of our Randy Schools Outstanding Service Awards. Randy served as our Booster Club chair for the first 20 years of Big Train Baseball. Randy is the personification of the servant leader who has enriched the lives of so many in our community through his work at NIH and with dozens of community organizations, including ours. This is an important award. I was pleased to present the award to Toby Mendez for his extraordinary work in sculpting the two icons of Washington and national world of sport. We also honored with the Randy Schools Award two of the professionals who worked closely with Toby and me on this project. Richard Lagan of Richard Lagan Architects, who did a sensational job conceiving the site to best showcase the sculptures and working through the details with Montgomery Parks. And Guy Bromley, whose Gelberg Signs is responsible for all the plaques, banners, and signs that have helped make Povich Field so attractive these 22 years. When the Bethesda Community Baseball Club was reestablished in 2020 to regain stewardship over Big Train Baseball, I turned to one of our most loyal and long-standing fans, John Daniel. I was so pleased to present the Schools Award to John. Here's a bit of that. And then when we brought the Big Train back, it made sense to involve John. And we said we were going to bring the fun back to Povich Field. But what I asked John to do was mostly the not fun jobs. Somebody to bring the fun back for all of us. You need a treasurer. You need somebody who cashes all the checks, who writes all the checks, who keeps everything honest, who does all the paperwork, who goes to the state of Maryland and the county and everybody and the IRS and keeps us straight. And John, amazingly, has kept us straight for 18 months. So I thought he deserved a Randy Schools Award. Yeah. There you go. Look at Brenda here. We're going to let you talk. Okay. So John, the floor is yours. Thank you. You are, I can't make you the fan of the century because that's Brian. But you are right up there as one of the all-time great Big Train fans. And thank you for the incredible work you've done on the board as our Secretary-Treasurer.
I'm glad to say that during my tenure, which is now maybe 15 months or so, that not one officer or employee or staff member of Big Train has gone to jail.
Thank you. Our manager Sal Colangelo spoke about the 2021 championship season and previewed the 2022 season. Before I hand it over to Sal tonight to give out his player awards for 2021, I want to share the video of our presentation of the Randy Schools Outstanding Service Award to Big Train's associate head coach, Galvin Morris. Coach G deserves this award. Now, this is not a retirement award. This is a continual award. So Brenda's going to take a picture. Sal's going to get in the picture. And then Sal is going to say something about Coach G. Snap a few. All right, here we go. Okay. So Sal, what do you got to say before Coach G he's going to respond to you.
He's going to speak too. I've known Coach G for years. We competed in the Clark Griffith League, played against each other growing up in the old Clark Griffith League. What I like about G is his loyalty. He's very loyal, and he's one of the most hardworking individuals I've been ever associated with. I know when things get tough, and it does in the summer, and I get frustrated with the guys, and it's hot, I know I can count on him to pick me up or pick the guys up. And he's one of the most loyal employees, people, baseball knowledge, everything that I ever met. And he knows when I go, he goes. So we're here a while. But gee, I appreciate everything you do. You do a wonderful, wonderful job. Although he did beat me one time, and I can't believe this happened. Bases loaded, 2004, Madison High School. He's coaching, 2 outs. Who would squeeze? But Coach G did. Coach G did, and he beat us.
All right. Coach, you're on.
Sal, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate it. I think I'm coming back, right? I don't know. Well, I was just, coming to Bethesda. I mean, first I want to thank Sal for having me aboard and asking me to come coach with Bethesda Big Train. And ever since I got here, folks just welcome me as, just part of the family here at Big Train. The first guy I met was my buddy Adrian right here. He's sitting in the stands.
Cheers for Adrian.
And I go talk to Adrian, and ever since then we've kept an open communication. He texts me. He doesn't listen to me all the time, but he don't listen to anyone most of the time. But he's the first guy I met. He sits in the same seat every game, and I just happened to walk by. At first, I asked him was he okay because his parents wasn't with him, but he said he was fine, and we went on from there and so forth, so on. And we stayed in connection. We communicate all the time. He has his great parents there that trust me with Adrian when we hang out and so forth. But thank you for the award. Thank everybody for welcoming me to the Big Train baseball family.
Thank you for your service. Now, Sal, it's all yours to tell us about the players who received your 2021 awards.
Thanks, Bruce. We had another successful season here in Bethesda this summer, winning our 5th straight title. It truly was a team effort, but tonight I want to take a few minutes to recognize 5 players who made a big impact on our championship run this season. This summer, Matt Thomas returned to the Big Train for his 2nd season and made his impact in nearly every facet of the game. He hit .350 with 7 home runs, 32 RBIs, 7 steals, and a 1.115 OPS. His patience at the plate earned him league-leading 33 walks. This season-long performance earned him the 2021 Cal Ripken League Offensive Player of the Year honors. While among the league's best hitters all season, Matt provided just as much value with the glove as he did with the bat. Listed as an outfielder, he made starts at 7 of 9 positions on the field this summer, everywhere except pitcher and shortstop. His versatility and ability to play strong defense all across the diamond while producing at the plate and serving as a team leader helped him stand out on a team full of talented players. It is my honor to present Matt Thomas of William & Mary with the 2021 Big Train Most Valuable Player Award. Matt, would you like to say anything to the Big Train fans or faithfuls?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sal. To the fans, I just want to say thank you. It's been not only one summer, but it's been 2 summers with all you guys. And, you guys show up every day and you welcome us with open arms. And I really appreciate all the things you guys have done for me, both on the field and off the field. You've given me opportunities I couldn't even begin to put in words, and I'm really thankful for you guys. And I hope in the future I can give back to you guys just as much as you guys have given to me. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. You know that.
I appreciate you, Sal, and you, Chris.
In a lineup full of great hitters, Rocco Pepe stood out at the plate all summer long. His disciplined approach at the plate helped him lead the team with a .357 average while ranking 2nd in on-base and slugging. He collected 30 hits, 15 walks, and 14 hit-by pitches while striking out only 8 times in 27 games this summer. It's my honor to present Rocco Pepe of Long Beach State with the 2021 Big Train Most Outstanding Hitter Award. Rocco, would you like to say anything to the Big Train faithfuls?
I just want to thank you guys all for coming to the games, supporting me, supporting the team. And I think we all fed off your guys' energy, and I really appreciated that. And thank you for the award.
Well, we appreciate you coming out, Rocco. You did a great job, even when you weren't playing and you were in the dugout with me, driving me crazy. We love you, bud. From start to finish, left-hander Grayson Hitt dominated the Cal Ripken League this summer. In total, Hitt made 6 regular season appearances, 5 starts, pitching to a 1.63 ERA and a .82 WHIP, while striking out 39 batters in 22 innings of work. The Southpaw held opponents to a measly 117 batting average and a 208 slugging percentage. He allowed more than 1 earned run just twice in 6 starts across the regular season and postseason, and struck out at least 7 hitters 4 times. Grayson Hitt of the University of Alabama It is my honor to present you with the 2021 Big Train Most Outstanding Starting Pitcher Award. Grayson, would you like to say a few things for the Big Train fans?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun over this summer. I've been looking back the past few weeks and I realized how much I miss it up there, and it means a lot. And I truly enjoyed my time up there.
Well, you know, I still have an extra spot if you want to come back.
We'll see. We'll see.
A third-year Big Train player, Ryan Metz, was once again a weapon out of the bullpen for us this summer. He surrendered just 2 earned runs across 10 bullpen appearances in the regular season for a 1.50 ERA. He walked just 2 hitters while striking out 19 and 14 innings of work. This season, he continued his legacy as one of the best relievers to play for the Big Train. It's an honor to present Ryan Metz of Virginia Tech with the 2021 Big Train Most Outstanding Relief Pitcher Award. Ryan, would you like to say anything to the Big Train faithful?
Yeah, I mean, I've loved my time at Big Train. Obviously, this is my 3rd year coming back and playing for you, Sal, and just some really, really good memories with Big Train. And obviously, playing well has been, the cherry on top to all of that. But yeah, I just love my time with Big Train.
Well, we appreciate it, and you'll be right down the street, so we expect to see you in the summer and in years to come.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, I will be there.
Like Matt Thomas and Ryan Metz, Keith Torres came back to Bethesda in 2021 for another season with the Big Train. He was a rock defensively up the middle in 2019 and as our everyday shortstop this summer. He made highlight plays look routine on a nightly basis. Keith Torres of Sacramento State, it's an honor to present you with the 2021 Big Train Most Outstanding Defender Award. Keith, would you like to say anything to the Big Train faithfuls?
I just want to say thank you for having me back for 2 years. It was a great 2 summers, and I wish I could go back, but that being my last summer made it memorable, even going out with another championship under my belt. So just want to say thank you, and, God bless.
Well, we appreciate you and everybody from Sac State, because I don't think I've ever gotten not just a bad player, but a bad kid from Sac State. Coach Reggie does it right. And you guys, look, it could have been 3 years in a row if COVID didn't get us right, Keith. But we stayed the course, and we had fun, and by far one of the best ever to play shortstop. And I know for me, and I've had some pretty good ones. So that's you work hard, you deserve it, buddy. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Congratulations to the awardees, and congratulations and thanks to Sal, Coach G, and all the players and trainers and interns and staff and volunteers whose hard work gave our fans another championship season. Thanks to all our loyal fans who supported us in this COVID season as the small town charm and big league talent that is Big Train Baseball returned to Povich Field. And thanks to all of you for watching. But before you turn off your computer, please take a look at our online auction at www.bigtrain.org. Avoid the global supply chain crunch by doing your holiday shopping at the Big Train auction that closes Tuesday night, December 7th. And Big Train ticket packs and summer camp are 2 excellent options for holiday presents. So enjoy your holidays. Best wishes for 2022. Stay safe. Only 185 days until opening night. Roll Train.